Thanks for joining us for this Monday edition of Fox 10 Talks. I'm Mark Martinez.
And I'm Ellen McNamara. Yeah, I hope you guys had a great weekend. We're happy that you're here with us right now.
It went by too fast, didn't it? It's like in a flash.
It did.
Yeah.
It went by pretty quickly.
Well, here we are again, a Monday afternoon, coming to you at a special time because we're going to be having some coverage from the World Series out in Los Angeles today. So that'll be fun to check in with them and see all the excitement out there surrounding the game.
Gosh, the World Series, it's been a lot of fun. And honestly, the postseason has been a lot. I love the postseason, watching these baseball games where the fans are so into it and they're hyped up. You know, they stand for every pitch. And
they have all the merch, all the jerseys.
I know. Man, I wish the D-backs were there. And actually, later on in the show, we're going to talk a little bit about that, kind of the D-backs and how they were there. They won it once, how awesome it was, and kind of what it does for a city. And we're going to be talking about that. We're also going to check in with Sarah Allegre, who is at Dodger Stadium.
Yes, she's out there today. I just looked at the weather, too. 75 degrees in Los Angeles. I mean, it's nice here, too, in Phoenix, but 75 degrees, perfect baseball weather out there today.
Yeah, and so far it's looking like a pretty good series right now, shaping up to be.
Yeah, we also want to check in with Tim Carpenter, the former FBI, the head of the art crime team for the FBI. Tim, you talked to Ellen last week. You guys chatted about the Louvre heist. And now there's been some arrests made in this case. Yeah,
I'm so glad you could join us again because last week was so interesting, Tim. And so, and you kind of were saying, worst case scenario, best case scenario. So now that there are 2 arrests, is this kind of the best case scenario in your mind?
Yeah. Well, hey, guys, thanks for having me back on. Really appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a busy week, right? Busy news week for us. And not surprising, at least not to be, this development that they've made a couple of arrests. So very happy to see that. I think I told you all last week that I was optimistic that the police would move quickly and make some apprehensions. And I think there's more to come.
And now that 2 of them have been arrested, we were talking before the show, probably going to see more arrests because they probably will squeal in this case and say who else was part of this heist.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a possibility. Of course, look, we don't have all the facts of their investigation. That case needs to play out in its natural fashion. And, they're right to be tight-lipped about it. The police and the prosecutor, they want to protect not only the integrity of their criminal investigation, but of course, any potential prosecution that comes from it. But my guess is they were already eyeballing a few other suspects, but they had to move quickly on these 2. Of course, it's been reported in the press. The one was trying to leave the country, which forced their hand.
Yeah, and I was reading, too, that, these guys, these 2 anyway, were known to police. So, that would indicate that they probably have some kind of criminal history. Again, we're just kind of assuming, and we don't know. But that is what has been reported in the Associated Press, that police at least knew these 2 guys. So, who knows? That might have made the investigation a little bit easier, too, to get these 2 guys.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Look, we all knew from the outset that this was definitely organized crime. And I think I told you guys last week, the great thing was they made some mistakes. They left behind some evidence, which was going to yield the potential for forensic analysis. And of course, we know now that the police were able to get good forensics off of that evidence, which had to quickly lead to some identification of these suspects. So, yeah, I think there's more to come.
It's wild when you watch the video of them using that lift to get to that window. And then the fact that they were in and out in 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Obviously, they knew what they were going for, Tim. Did they have these jewels in mind for some reason? Do they want to take the jewels off and try to sell them that way? Or was that what they might plan on doing with something like that?
Well, yeah, for sure. They had a great plan. They executed it, but they didn't execute it very well, right? Again, they made some mistakes along the way. But yeah, look, I think the prevailing theory, particularly amongst most of my colleagues and the rest of the industry, is that they targeted these jewels for their intrinsic value, right? To be able to melt down the precious metals and to knock out and piece out those individual jewels. I tend to be a little more optimistic. I think there's a good chance that these guys might have taken these to hold them for ransom. We do see that from time to time in these types of cases. And now that they've been apprehended, I think there's a strong chance that either the police have already recovered these jewels and are just keeping that to themselves at the moment, or that they'll be working with these subjects to try to recover them as part of some kind of a plea negotiation.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we talked a little bit about kind of how, you want a museum to be open to the public, even when it holds jewels that are worth, $100 million plus. But as far as like the Louvre reopening, have you kind of heard about the security that has maybe changed in the last week just to kind of get it reopened? reopen and get the public back in there?
Well, I've heard a little bit, right? We know that they're taking a pretty strong look at their security program, and I think they're trying to own some of the mistakes that they've made, and they're rethinking their security posture. And my guess is they're bringing in some consultants and some outside contractors to help them with that process. But most of the museums across the globe today are facing that same question, right? I think everyone is looking at their current security posture and rethinking things just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it really looked like something, out of a movie watching them when they were doing this. And the fact that it was also, 9:30 in the morning and so many people were there, I wonder if it was just, the hectic nature of being around the Louvre that people weren't paying too much attention to what they were doing as far as being suspicious at that time.
Well, certainly a possibility in today's age, right? Everybody has their nose buried in their phone. And then when they see something like this occur, their instinct is not to interfere or to interact. It's to point the phone at it and get good video. There was definitely a lot of that going on. But, look, these guys, they had a good plan, and they disguised themselves as construction workers to a point, right? They had reflective vests on, which to an inattentive passerby might have just glanced at that and not thought twice about it, right? Of course, the fact that they had motorcycle helmets on, maybe should have given them pause, but that's the world we live in today.
Tim, you are, brought in now and you help museums and others, protect these important pieces. I know you probably can't reveal a lot, but is that a small world kind of for what you do? And also, I'm assuming that it's probably pretty profitable too, if you're being hired to protect, the Mona Lisa, for example, or works that, Picasso painted.
Yeah, well, look, guys, we do this because of our love for the mission, right? We're all retired government workers that we're really passionate about protecting the world's cultural heritage, and we're happy to keep doing that. We do try to help and bring some of our experience and knowledge to the museum world where, look, there is a culture, right, in museum security, and there's a culture within museum leadership oftentimes that maybe don't appreciate their security responsibilities fully. I think, a lot of museums focus more on the experience, right? They're more about acquisitions and public programming and some of these really great things that museums do. And oftentimes the security gets pushed down to the bottom of the pile and maybe sometimes is considered a necessary evil. So that's a big part of what we do, is to come in and try to help change that culture and share some more stories, right? Share a little bit of the dangers of what could happen when things go wrong. And of course, things like this case, right? The Louvre heist, can put a fine point on that for us and help us, change that culture within the museum industry.
Yeah, and learning something from, unfortunately, when this does happen, you do learn something from it and try to, like we were talking about, changes to the Louvre, maybe some things that they had kind of overlooked or didn't think about probably will be looked at and reinforced. Maybe the windows will be reinforced as well, something like that.
Yeah. I was wondering too, Tim, as far as we have reports of people stealing things, and obviously the Louvre, prime example right now. But we've also had stories of people vandalizing, works of art, throwing paint at these works of art. And I know that there is a process to clean it up and to, preserve it or to kind of restore that artwork. But is that also something that you guys look at as well, and museums are looking at too? And how do you prevent that from happening?
Yeah, for sure, Ellen. Great question. And definitely, particularly in the last 5 years, this is something that's been on the forefront of everybody's mind in the museum security industry. And as I travel around and I go to different museums, we go to conferences and we talk to some of our peers and colleagues, this is the thing that has been on everybody's mind lately, is protecting their artwork from activism, right, and intentional damage. And so maybe they've been a little bit too focused on that, and a little less focused on the threat of theft, which could have led to this issue here. But, it's a complex environment. And of course, these folks that do these things where they attack artwork, oftentimes they'll have their excuse, well, we're using, water soluble paint, or the painting had glazing on it, so we're not actually harming the painting. They don't really fully understand what they're doing because they're not art experts. And so oftentimes they cause significant damage to the frame around the painting. And the frame itself is also an artwork and can be quite valuable and quite expensive. And a lot of these frames have been heavily damaged and destroyed by these activists who claim they're not hurting the artwork. So part of this is about educating them as well, to the damage that they're causing.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, I never thought about that until just now, that the frame it also is artwork too. I mean, it makes sense. I just, we're always so focused on the painting itself,
right?
Not the frame.
And that's the other thing too. I mean, you couldn't put like a plastic or, I don't know, like a glass case over every piece of art in a museum. But I mean, that might be something that people have looked into.
Well, this is definitely a big part of that discussion that we like to have with museums, and, understanding their culture and changing the culture a little bit. The Mona Lisa is behind glass now because that painting has been attacked a number of times.
Yeah,
I think 6 or 7 times in its long history. And so finally, the Louvre put that painting behind glass, and we see that from time to time. But museums are very big on the visitor experience, right? They want you to be able to interact with the art and enjoy the artwork in its free form, and so they're very reluctant to do that because it does diminish sometimes from the experience.
Well, Tim, thank you again for joining us. Tim Carpenter, former head of the FBI's art crime team. Always great to chat with you and get your knowledge on these topics.
Yeah, and I have no doubt, I'm sure there are going to be more arrests coming following the 2 arrests just this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Tim.
Sure.
Thank you for joining us.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Yeah, the video, when you first saw that, we heard about it, and then seeing it popping up on social media, I was like, that's the way they're going to get in here?
I know, too, setting up the truck, and then, it was really wild to even think that they just did it in plain sight.
But... And then I saw kind of a schematic of how when they got in that window, basically just kind of ran down that hall, smashed the glass cases. So they knew what they were going for in this case. And I think people who were there at the time were just kind of like, what's going on?
Right. Yeah. What do you do?
What is happening? Yeah.
Right.
And they did say part of their protocol is you just let it happen. You know, they got the guests out of there. Security got the guests out of the hall, made sure they were safe. And then they're not.
Yeah. You certainly don't want to intervene if someone has a weapon, because that would not end well probably for you.
Yeah. So. Yeah, we'll wait to hear about more arrests in that case. But we got a lot to talk about coming up after the break. We're going to shift into sports mode.
We are, yeah. And Fox, of course, is carrying the World Series. So we are really kind of focused on the World Series right now. And so we're going to be checking in with our own Mark, right?
Malerich,
Mark Malerich, the other Mark.
Yes, and Sarah Allegre as well when we come back. All right, welcome back, everybody. We are here with Mark Malerich, our sports producer.
Everyone.
We call him Mally.
Yes,
so,
yeah. What is your official title?
Yeah.
I am the senior sports producer or executive producer, whatever you want to call it, but jack of all trades.
There we go. Yeah.
Awesome.
And co-host
sums
with
it up.
Richard on Wednesdays at 6:30.
There we go.
Fox 10 Talk
Awesome.
Sports, yes.
Yeah, I know we've been talking a lot of sports. This time of year for sports is like unbelievable. Where you have basically all the leagues are underway right now.
Right, just today only, is the Sports Equinox Day.
Yep.
World Series, NHL, NBA, and NFL all on the same day.
Yeah.
So get your parlays ready if you're a gambler out there. But no, it's if you're a fan of one sport or all sports, I mean, this is a great time where if you have a multi-view TV, if you have YouTube TV or whatever, that you can just go crazy and program and have everything up at once.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
your
were doing
weekend
that
is
even
taken
this
up.
weekend. Like YouTube TV is amazing now, where you can do the 4-box.
I have it and I love it for college football.
Yeah.
Because if there's, we have like a 75-inch TV, so it doesn't, it doesn't look too small. But if you have a 25-inch TV, it's going to be a little rough. But it is nice to be able to keep tabs on all the games, especially if it's a team that, is in your conference, like with ASU or whatever, and then you can figure out, who's doing what, and then if one game gets really interesting, you just hit on that one, and it
goes
comes right
full.
up. Yeah,
It's
That's
like
cool.
a sports bar in your home now.
it's the best.
You don't need
Sure.
to leave on the weekend anymore. You can
No,
stay at
no,
home.
no.
We also wanted to talk to you about, you were here 2001 for the World
was.
Series. And what was that like here? I mean,
So it was really interesting because I was just in my first full year producing in the sports department, and I was probably 24 years old at the time.
Wow.
And 9/11 had just happened.
yeah.
And so the World Series got pushed back. All sports did because of what happened. And this series was incredible. I mean, the Diamondbacks had built this team based off of veteran players, and they look like world beaters. Then you go to New York and you lose games in dramatic fashion, walk-off home runs. And I remember to this day that the Game 4 was on Halloween, and because it went to extra innings, it became November 1st. Derek Jeter hits a home run, and they pulled up a sign, Mr. November.
Oh, my
Because
gosh.
Reggie Jackson was Mr. October for hitting 3 home runs in a World Series. So
Wow.
then he became Mr. November. And I remember, Byung-Hyun Kim was the closer, and he blew a couple saves. They're coming back, and they're down 3-2. And everyone's just like, oh man, we had it. And then they just blow the doors off the Yankees in game 6. And then game 7, it's a tight ball game. It starts to drizzle, of all things.
Wow.
At the end of the game, the roof is open, and Kurt Schilling gives up a home run to Soriano, and you're thinking, oh man, late in the game, this is no good. They bring in Randy Johnson. He kind of relieves the game and keeps it at a 1-run game. And then the 9th inning was just magic.
Yeah.
Magic happened. And then Gonzo gets that really a sawed-off, kind of a flare into left field over Jeter's head, and that's it.
Yeah.
And we could not believe it, going nuts in the newsroom. I was telling Mark earlier, Linda Williams was losing her mind, and we were all jumping around. And to this day, the Phoenix Mercury have won championships, yes, but this was the biggest championship in Phoenix sports history.
Yeah.
And it really unifies the whole, not just the Valley, the state. I mean, fans
It does.
all across the state getting involved, and showing support.
Even 2 years ago when the Diamondbacks
Yes,
were in the World
yeah.
Series, everyone in the newsroom is starting to get on board and asking questions, and you get to know the players on a more personal level, and it's great when it goes on a run like that, and it's even more fun when it's unexpected.
Yeah.
And John Hook was telling me just some of the practical stuff behind the scenes covering that was that parking obviously was a nightmare down there,
Right.
so that they were using the pedal cabs to get from the station over to the stadium and to run tapes, because everything was on tape back then.
Yeah.
Yes,
You had-
we have
you had
tapes
the
here.
tapes.
So Fox has production truck, what's called a melt. This is Game 7. This is what we call our Holy Grail tape. This has every possible angle of Gonzo's game-winning home run or game-winning hit,
Wow.
and there's no fonts on it. It's just nat sound audio. It's amazing.
Well, we need to keep that
And then
on
we
the
also,
list.
and then we also
Louvre.
Yeah, safe.
yeah, put that in the Louvre. Yeah,
Safe,
and then we also have the Destiny in the Desert, which was MLB's production of. It was like a 90-minute documentary just about the World Series, and it's just amazing. The different shots of, people walking with flags, and actually they did hang the flag from 9/11.
Wow.
In the outfield during that series, and it was just, it was like, I'm like, this is my first year working in sports. I'm like, this is gonna be great. And then you go through these decades of
you didn't
drought
know
in local sports.
How good you had it at the time.
Yeah. So whenever it comes around, we always embrace it.
Yeah, I know too. Like even Hook has talked about going to New York and covering it in New York.
Yes, him and Jude, they were both there.
That was too, and also the fact too. I mean, with 9/11 happening, how emotional it was for everybody.
I can't imagine, and then you almost think that the story is written that New York has to win that series based on what happened. And then they have those magical nights there. And then for the Diamondbacks to regroup and come back and win the World Series here it was a storybook finish for us, maybe not so much for them, but we'll take it.
Yeah, and we think back to 9/11 and nobody really knew what to do, like how to get back to quote unquote normal or to life, and everything kind of felt wrong. Like you didn't, can we celebrate something? And I think that really kind of turned that around a little bit for us.
Yeah, I remember that morning a friend of mine called me Tuesday morning. He said, turn on the TV right now. And I turned it on, and it's my off day. It was like my Sunday. And first thing I did was call the newsroom. What do you need? And they're like, we don't know, just come in.
Yeah.
And you're driving in, and then you're going by the airport the days after, and there's no planes taking off, and it's just eerie. And it was weird. And then, like you said, to get back to playing sports, you're like, okay, are we allowed to feel this way?
Yeah.
And then the world normalizes itself after a time.
Yeah,
but
and I kind of think that was
unreal.
I do feel like the World Series was a big part of that. Really kind of saying, okay, we can come together and enjoy the national pastime.
Yeah,
and sports and George W. Bush throwing out, a first pitch.
And he threw a perfect strike, which to me was awesome. And they asked him, they said, Mr. President, do you want to throw from the grass? And he, no, I'm throwing from the mound.
Yeah.
And on this tape, this very tape, well, we showed it to you earlier, Bob Brenly goes up and he's mic'd up. Nice pitch, Mr. President. Shakes his hand.
Wow.
Very good.
Awesome.
So, I mean, that's why it's gold. You can't replace it. You can't replace it.
And that's the thing. I mean, first off, September 11th, that was the year was, again, extremely emotional. And that is something that will never repeat itself as far as the emotion around it, too. But just talk about kind of like what this does for a city, because it's like, you can't describe it, really. Well, you really can't.
First, I mean,
it's like the fever of
aside
it,
from the economic impact, which is huge, but just like, what you're getting at, the emotion. I remember being down there for some, after that, for even opening day, and just that the vibe. Now that must be like times 100.
Well, I think what happens is anytime you get into a championship series or a specialty night, like opening night, you're getting the casual fan. You're not just getting the hardcore baseball fan or the hardcore, we love this team. You're getting and then if you can capture those moments and hook them in, now they're fans for life. And that, I think, goes a long way. And so when you do win a championship, it pays off. And it's like I said 2 years ago with the World Series run, Corbin Carroll and all those guys just playing out of their minds. And that Phillies team they beat was a really good Phillies team. Yeah. And for them to come out and win, and then you're thinking, we're going to win the World Series. They're playing Texas.
I know.
And I think that it was almost like a letdown. And I joked about it with our department. I said, look, this is going to be a long stretch. Every day is going to feel like a marathon, but the entirety is going to feel like a sprint. It's over like that.
Yeah.
We worked 28 straight days, most of us in the department, Richard and Megan,
I remember.
covering the World Series. And it's like, and Brad too, it's like, it's over.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and then we're like, what happened? We lost?
Yeah.
Wait, isn't there another game tonight?
Yeah.
And then it normalizes itself again.
Yeah. And the enormity too in those moments of each pitch, again, everyone is on their feet and it means so much. And two, if a pitcher is not getting it done, they're going to pull them, because it's like, you can't, there is no, basically there's no tomorrow is kind of how you deal with the World Series.
Yeah. And you talk about the days maybe before the pitch clock too. It's like the crowd is the anticipation and maybe then the pitcher steps off. Or the batter bats out, and it's like, oh. But now with the pitch clock, it's like, nope.
Get and go.
We're cheering now, and it's going to happen, and you got to let it fly. But, to me, there's nothing that can replace the emotion of sports.
Yeah.
Live sports, it really is the last great reality TV show. You can't TiVo games. John Hook was talking to me earlier about, like, maybe he'll TiVo the ASU game this weekend because it's in the morning. And they go, I said, no, you can't. I go, because you know what's going to happen.
Right.
You're going to look at your phone.
Yeah,
it's going to be,
you're going
to see the score, and you're like, why am I going to watch it now?
Yeah, that's true.
You need to be in it while it's live.
Yeah. What are you thinking about this World Series? Do you have, like, I mean, obviously Yamamoto had another phenomenal game the other night, but Toronto looks great too. And
I think it's refreshing to see a team like Toronto in there, and they hit the ball so well. I like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I love seeing the guys that I grew up watching play, that their kids now are playing, and they're playing well. I think Toronto's a great story, and the Dodgers, obviously, the Dodgers, the highest payroll, and Ohtani is amazing. And, you know, I enjoy watching play, but I like to see good games. When I don't have a dog in the fight, it's like, okay, just give me good games. Give me drama. You know, of course, it's on Fox, so we want these games to be really entertaining. But, yeah, I mean, I think the Dodgers, in the end, will win the series. Just based on starting pitching. As long as they don't have to go to their bullpen. The Dodgers bullpen is awful. And the Toronto team will just feast. They will feast.
Well, Mark, we really appreciate you
no problem.
joining us, picking your brain a little
memory
bit
lane.
Yes, memory lane.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to go now to we're going to go to Los Angeles.
Yeah, we are, to Sarah Allegre, who is live there right now on the field. And Sarah, we just had a prediction that LA is going to take it all. How are Dodgers fans feeling right now?
Absolutely. I mean, they're feeling a lot of excitement. You feel it here. I felt it the moment I just hopped out of LAX. But we have more fans kind of piling in right now. You know, earlier today, it was quiet here. But as we get closer and closer to first pitch, we are feeling the energy that much more. But not only here inside the stadium, you feel it outside as well, too, moving forward. So, and especially with the series tied to lots of eyes on this Game 3.
It should show itself here these next 3 games.
From maple leaves to palm trees, the World Series has landed in LA, and the pressure's on.
It's a tough task every night against these starters.
Tonight, Max Scherzer starts for the Jays, going up against Tyler Glasnow for the Dodgers. Scherzer brings veteran experience, while Glasnow is hoping his LA roots give him an edge.
Well, I think I probably feel the best I have all season right now.
It's a big test for both after Yoshinobu Yamamoto's lights-out performance Saturday.
Coming home, I feel that, you know, we're back into a little bit of a rhythm offensively.
Star hitter Shohei Ohtani says the team's energy is sky high with the next few games on home turf.
Really good lineup. Yoshinobu navigated that lineup really well. You have to really have good stuff to be able to put up good results.
It's been 32 years since the Blue Jays last held the trophy, and Toronto's hoping to regain momentum from that Game 1 start.
It's awesome to see some of the videos of the fans outside of the Rogers Center cheering. I think it kind of shows what kind of fan base and support that we have.
Meanwhile, the Dodgers chasing a repeat championship, something Major League Baseball hasn't seen in 24 seasons. The last, the Yankees.
We got to have a good game plan and execute and play sound baseball. And, you know, then everything will take care of itself.
Yeah, and looking at Game 3, too, especially with the series tied, whoever wins tonight's game, looking at past MLB data,